Very excited to be here again today. This time I'm gonna be moderating this one panel today, so that's all you have from me. Thank you very much, Sterling, for doing today. Very looking forward to it. So we're gonna have a panel discussion about security. So in crypto, we don't trust how protocols approach security. And I was very surprised by this lineup because I think it's pretty fucking dope. So I'm really excited for that. So can I please invite to the stage Jack, CVH, and Kadmil, please. And you can sit down, grab a microphone. I can see there's 2 microphones, so we may have to share. But yeah, so woo! Yay! Matthijs, please don't judge us.
Hello, hello. Yep.
So the way this is going to work, we're going to chat shit for like 20, 25 minutes. And please ask the questions on Slido because, again, as I said yesterday and today, these people are here for you. So if there's any things that you want, please put it in Slido. So to kick things off, thanks ever so much for being here this morning. And yeah, can you each give a very quick introduction of yourself and keep it lean, mean, and sweet?
Yeah, quick. I'm Chris, CVH as well. I work for Polygon. I'm a VP of security over there. And yeah, I've been with Polygon for like 2 years.
Hey guys, I'm Jack. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Sherlock. Sherlock is one of the big audit providers out there. We specialize in audit contests, and we also offer smart contract coverage after the audits we do.
Hey, I'm Kadmil. I work for the ops team in Lido. So.
Dope. Thanks ever so much for coming. So to kick things off, in your own words, why are external audits necessary and valuable?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I would say, yeah, F audits. No. They are necessary, but they're not all-inclusive. So they are not a guarantee on security, I would say. It is just a checkpoint in time that actually tells you, hey, things look good, they conform to the standard, you pass the basic checks, doesn't seem to find, general type of things, but I wouldn't say they are necessary. I wouldn't say that they are the only thing you should focus on. And if you have limited resources, limited people, just maybe don't even get an audit and focus on some other areas of security. But yeah, maybe my partners over here may think different.
Yeah, I think once you have the context that you can never prove that any smart contract is 100% secure, that helps put the right context on audits. They're not going to be, the end-all, be-all of security. But I think why external audits are valuable is because if you're a team, even if you have, someone on the inside doing security, you can get very familiar with your own code base. You can start making certain assumptions around it, and bringing in somebody who has a totally kind of independent viewpoint coming in with fresh eyes is able to, we've seen this in data, kind of find bugs that others aren't able to.
I'd say that I fully agree that audits are not like a silver bullet, but basically, if you are trying to build something very transparent, you want to have third-party verification of what you built, like holds water. So there are 2 questions: whether like it's doing like auditing or doing any particular security thing is getting your code 100% secure, and like it is not. But from another point, having third-party verification of like someone looked through the code and it's like works and does what's on the tin is very valuable.
And just to make a point, like I hate the fact that we use the word audit for these type of assessments. It's terrible. It doesn't represent exactly the job that the security researchers, like the people that work in your team on the consultants do. An audit is basically a check against the standard. ISO, you do audits on ISO 27001, you do audits on SSA 16. You don't do an audit of a smart contract. You actually do what it would be called a security assessment. Even we could use the term penetration testing because that's a lot what security researchers are doing when they review the smart contracts. So I know it's impossible now. It's done. It's called security audits in the Web3 world, but yeah, I think people should understand very well what that actually means. No.
Well, on that note, what other questions do you think people should be, or projects should be asking their auditors, other than just a PDF report?
Yeah, I can. You want to go? I can start off on that one. So we've done, hundreds of audits and audit contests, and I think we have a good sense of what the right questions are to ask us or to ask any auditor. The first one is that an organization cannot do an audit. Every audit is done by individuals, and so you need to know who the individuals are that are going to be looking at your code base so that you can know, okay, the next question is, does this individual have relevant experience on similar code bases? Is there a reasonable likelihood that they'll be able to find bugs in this code base and understand it? And do they have experience finding bugs in similar code bases? I think those are kind of good questions to start with because audits are done by individuals.
I have another viewpoint. Basically, one of particular things we have been asking the audit teams, like doing security research or penetration testing for the code base, or like you name it. Unfortunately, it's really called security audit in industry right now. Basically, for what DAO is doing, having verification of not only that's GitHub commit is sane and adopts the spec and works well. Particular thing we're asking is whether the addresses of contracts deployed to actual blockchain is the same contain the same code as what auditor has audited. So you want the full track of record, not only between code and audit report and whatnot, but you want for the DAO voters, for token holders or general public to be able to actually track if on-chain code is what auditor audited and what they think is sane. So this third-party verification should go all the way from the code to on-chain.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I completely agree. It's a tough one to do, obviously, because it's very technical. Most people, especially investors, users, and stuff like that, will not be able to easily figure out, from GitHub all the way to the bytecode of the smart contract, if anything has changed, if it has been audited. I think there's a lot of companies, and even there's a security team trying to solve that problem as well, but it hasn't been solved. So if there are any builders over here that want to abstract what the security teams are doing and making it easier for a user to be able to verify that what's deployed has been audited, that it represents what is on GitHub, that represents as well what you see on the web page itself, please solve that problem.
Yeah, just quickly on that, I think probably, we've looked at a few examples, but probably 90 to 95% of the audits you see on a team's website are actually a different version of the code than is deployed, which a lot of users probably don't.
100%.
95%. Ours are good.
It's a huge personal pet peeve when you go to a website that's kind of like CoinMarketCap and you see that they have this audit list, and it's just such a false sense of bollocks.
Go ahead.
Audits are great, as you've mentioned, pen testing, whatever we want to call it. Maybe we can end the day with a new term. If anyone has anything, please tweet it. What happens when something goes wrong? Could you share maybe a story or maybe something that's happened when something's gone wrong, and kind of the feeling I think there's a very emotional reaction. There's an adrenaline reaction when something like this happens. And I'm just looking to maybe share some of that with the audience of something that's happened to you guys. You don't have to get too into the weeds, but yeah.
Yeah, I think I've been through a couple of them in Web3 and Web2 over the last basically 20 years of my life. And what I can tell you, obviously, the typical don't panic, be like Napoleon, dress me slowly, I'm in a hurry, all those type of things. But you're going to panic, you're going to freak out. And I think the best thing you can do is try to reach out to somebody that can help you. If you don't have a security team or somebody responsible for security, reach out to the community, reach out to your auditors, reach out to anybody that you know around there. Don't shut up. Don't try to solve the problem yourself. Ask for help. I think one of the things that I've seen in Web3 more than Web2 is the camaraderie that the security community has, it is amazing. It is the amount of free hours of consultancy, free hours of investigations, free hours of support when a protocol is being attacked or anything like that. I haven't seen that anywhere in the Web2 world. So don't be afraid of asking for help. Don't think that, it's not about getting hacked. Like, everybody's gonna get hacked. It's just like death. It's part of the life cycle of being on the internet or everything else. But it's really, people are gonna criticize you around how did you react to that hack? How did you react to that issue that you confronted? If you reacted it by acknowledging it, asking for help, doing the right things, your users are going to come back. I'm absolutely sure about it. If you did the wrong thing and you hide it, and then people started figuring out on Twitter, and no, that's a way for just death.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think hiding it. Hopefully, less and less auditors are kind of staying uninvolved. I think that was kind of a problem maybe a couple years ago, not to shill Sherlock too much, but we are very deeply involved with every single potential security incident that's happening with any of our customers, especially the ones under coverage, because we're fully aligned with making sure that damage is mitigated and anything that's happening, can be addressed as quickly as possible. So we'll help set up the war room. We'll do all these different things that need to be done as soon as possible afterwards. And I think we've posted on Twitter every single time there's been any kind of potential security incident related to a Sherlock audited code base. And yeah, I hope that more auditors move in that direction over time.
Well, don't want to share like the nitty-gritty of the story, but we actually had I had a conversation with audit team for like one of special projects we did a couple years ago with folks literally asking, okay, you have like too much TVL in that thing, and we are working on an upgrade, and what if something goes wrong? We can't. It was literal question like we can't pay it, which like. Of course you can't, like, team can't either, so we, like, and as the story goes, something actually went wrong, but not, like, for all the tokens under the specific project's management, thankfully, but still, upgrade process missed some small part. We figured how to mitigate it, we figured how to make users whole, and how to compensate for losses in like for no, it wasn't losses. It was like locked in some tokens locked in a contract. But like that was an actual question. We went to the team auditing the thing afterwards and said, okay, there was an issue, and we have figured it out. But like that's been quite a long time ago. Actually. So things go wrong, and you have to go figure. You have to like either have a strong security process, strong incident response like team inside, or if you can collaborate, that's also awesome because like that's a skill which is very hard to acquire, but like apart from being in worms for quite some time.
I'd like to add as well, and I'm to blame as well on this type of things. Share also the things that happen, even if you keep them private or internally with your auditors. Like it's completely normal. They will understand it. That they missed something. It's normal. Again, an audit is not on 100% coverage on security, but share it with them. Else, they're never gonna learn. They're never going to understand, okay, what did I miss? Why did I miss it? Is this a new attack vector? No, Web3 is very new. Smart contracts are very new. Decentralized technology or distributed technology is very new. We need to be able to understand, to standardize, and to figure out, basically write down all the different possible attack scenarios, because that's really what I ask an auditor, especially if they're an individual. If I hire like an individual or something like that, what's your methodology? Do you use a checklist? Show me your checklist. What things do you cover? When you look at it, what's your strong point? Are you DeFi guy? Are you an NFT guy? Do you know lending? Do you understand whatever those type of things? So.
Yeah, that's fair. And Jack, you're not allowed to answer this question. But for Chris and Kadmil, what do you think about the model of auditors actually standing behind their audits in a way that Sherlock does, where they're actually putting their own cash on the line? Because I think this is a much broader, just macro discussion about auditing in general. There are some people in this room that don't.
I think that's very great. Why? Because oftentimes in DeFi protocol design, you look to align incentives, and putting something putting skin on the game is aligning incentives to a significant degree. So that's very strong, even if not most likely not in financial sense, because the lever of being security firm or being a protocol development team and actual TVL users put in is ginormous. So I don't think as with audits, audit is not mark of security, it's mark of something else. Quite a lot of things, but mark of quality, but never mind. This insurance is not insurance for TVL in general, I think. There's just not enough money in this market. But in a sense, that's very real alignment of incentives, and that's really cool.
I would say start looking for a new job, because that's going to be tough to continue over time, to be honest. Yeah, I like the model. I think it's great that there are other security companies as well that have said oh, if somebody found a critical norm on any of the things we audited, we'll pay you 10K or whatever it is. Yeah, I think it's more to shill than anything else. While a good incentive, it's not sustainable over time. I don't think that we have seen the magnitude of what hacks can actually do. We've definitely seen a lot, but the space is very small. There's not a lot of total value locked in a lot of these protocols. Imagine if we, in 10 years from now, we 100x the total value locked. That's going to be tough to sustain an insurance model or having to pay for hacks. That means also there's going to be even more state actors. Right now we have North Korea maybe looking for some money, or China or stuff like that. But in 10 years' time, every single country will be looking after bugs or vulnerabilities in these protocols, because North Korea is going to be on chain, and China is going to be on chain, and the US and Europe are going to try attacking them, and that's going to be cyber warfare. It's already happening right now. It's just not happening inside of the on-chain economy.
Jack, I will let you say something for sure.
Yeah, thank you. So, to Kadmil's point, I think it's really interesting that both Polygon and Lido have, billions of dollars at risk, essentially. And there's no coverage protocol. There's not even any traditional finance actor that would ever be able to kind of take on that full amount of risk, at least not in the near future. So I think kind of the middle ground, or the first step that Sherlock has taken, I think others hopefully will take as well, is putting money on the bug bounty. So when you put a bug bounty live and there's code live, that is a much more manageable dollar amount, usually $1 million for a fairly high quality protocol. I'm sure these guys have even bigger bug bounties than that, but that's something that I think is more realistic, because a lot of teams have 250K bug bounties or something, and I think auditors can get a lot more involved in having skin in the game and putting money on the line to help those payouts.
But you need to make sure that the code that is in the bug bounty and the code that is live is actually the code that you audited. And as we talked before, most of the code online is not the same version that was audited at all. No, I guess that's tough. I guess that's a tough situation, obviously.
Yeah. So when Sherlock does this, we actually check. So we do the bytecode check as well, which hopefully is coming in Foundry, it sounds like. And I hope that other auditors, would also do that. You have to coordinate with the team more, because the team is obviously going to want to change things after the audit. There's a fix review after most audits, and maybe they want to add more features. And so you kind of have to stay in communication about hey, what is actually coming on chain, and is it the same thing that we audited, a month ago?
Yeah. But I do like the part where you actually, match the bug bounty. You don't have to match it fully, but stuff like that. Those type of things could be nice incentives, for a certain period of time as well.
Cool.
To the last point, maybe even being responder for bug bounty, or being involved in responding to actual reports would be another good measure of incentive alignment. because there is a shit ton of bad, like low quality bug reports for smart contracts and for like not smart contracts. So that's another rabbit hole. But like having better filter here and having auditors piling in and working there could be also seen as a very big like incentive alignment vehicle.
Would love to go down that rabbit hole, but
this is just a question that literally just popped in my mind. On a scale of 1 to 10, what scale would you give on like, will AI be able to replace an auditor? 0 being fuck AI, 10 being our new overlords that can also audit smart contracts. I just want a number.
It's like 6, but to what end? Basically, the question you are...
That's not a number. We're going to get all the numbers and then we can discuss.
Ah, okay.
8, 9.
Okay, that's a lot.
in terms of 0 to 10 likelihood, I would put it at a 1.
Okay. Yeah. Nice.
It obviously it depends a lot. No, what exactly? I think it will replace the 95% of all the security researchers, consultants that you see on Twitter. Basically, sorry, you guys are not security people. Like,
in basements,
you're just following a checklist that somebody else made and finding bugs. So you are going to be replaced absolutely by AI and all those type of things. The people that are really, 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 really smart, the good security people, the good security researchers that actually understand how security works, that actually go and revise, look at the slots and look at the bytecode and all those type of things. Those are going to be tougher to be replaced, but they're the 5% of what we see right now in the community.
I tend to agree. And basically, the most value you can get in like security practices you take are not easily like checklistable. Like checklist get you the first 90% of work, and now you have to work for the rest of 90% of quality and like making sure the thing is like works.
Yeah, so I guess to explain the 1 out of 10, that's kind of like what are the chances that there's a perfect AGI out there that can basically do everything that we want it to do perfectly, and you get into this problem of like kind of like an oracle problem of how does it know the ground truth and the intentions of a protocol. But I think it will maybe approach 99%, like the AI will get that good that it's 99.9% at this kind of stuff. But I also think that teams will develop way more complex protocols once they have the ability to do that, and AIs can find way more bugs. So it's going to be kind of this like war between how good is the AI at security versus how complex can an AI make a protocol. And I don't really know how that plays out, but I think people building AIs that are good at security will be kind of the end state unless we get AGI.
Yeah, I think it's more about will the AGI be able to think as a human? Because really the biggest mistakes are made by humans and human error and human logic. That's really where the issues are.
Yeah, you'll suck.
If AGI gets really to that level, like I'm sure there's worse things to realize. Like Terminator is happening for sure. Like
right.
I want to apologize for the people that asked the AI audit questions. I just checked Slido and that was the question. So credit goes to you guys. I feel really embarrassed actually. Okay, I have a couple more questions and then we'll move on to the Slido. We're going to try and do this a little bit quick fire, so keep the answers short. How has your approach to security changed in the last year? Any big shifts?
Yeah, well, before Polygon, I've done 2 years. I was on Web 2 and I worked in cloud and software as a service and stuff like that. And I really had to change my approach because if the cloud gets hacked, basically I just had angry customers that were not able to use my service. But in the last 2 years, if the blockchain goes down or we get hacked at Polygon, I'm going to have very, very angry users that have lost all their money. So let's say the stress levels has gone up a little bit. And therefore, I've spent more time thinking about the deployment process and the development process of everything to make sure that by the time we get to on-chain, this is really, 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 really secure. Like there's very little room for error over here. No, and I think I've just become more paranoid. I've already was paranoid. I've already been a pessimist my whole life. I've just gone worse on that area. My wife is not happy.
Oh.
Yeah, I'll try to answer this concisely because we've seen a ton of teams doing a ton of different things. The biggest changes over the last year are essentially teams are just doing more. So a team that would have got 1 or 2 audits is now getting 3, 4, 5 audits. A lot of teams are supplementing audits with an audit contest at the very end to kind of do like a bigger, we've seen more $1 million audit contests this year than ever before. And then I think the monitoring and threat prevention is getting a little bit more adoption now, which it really wasn't a year ago.
We spent basically we used to run minimal blockchain action checklist, which spans for 2 pages at the beginning, and now it's five or 6, and we have a couple more specific checklists for specific kind of things we are looking to do. Riffing or your comment, we're doing way more types of checks, both internal and external. So looking not only for auditing, but for the biggest upgrades, we're looking for formal verification on code level or byte code level, and looking for that very intently. And we're dividing way more attention to alerting and to making sure alerting works and whatnot. So that's another big part of the puzzle.
Yeah, monitoring definitely, and I think there's so much room for improvement on the monitoring side of things and alerting. And there's good teams building it, but there's a lot to improve. And I think that's where AI can really help and predict things that are potentially going to happen before they actually happen. And it's not about just looking at the men code, it's about behavior. Hey, there's some behavior here that looks weird. Polygon, have a look, because this could be bad. So.
Cool. Sorry, I'm just trying to launch a poll because this is going to be a big discussion point. So if you guys can open up Slido, and we can put Slido on the screen. We're going to ask the question to the audience. Do you think, or does a secure smart contract also equal a quality smart contract? And 1 is going to be no, a secure smart contract doesn't need to be a quality smart contract. And 5 is going to be yes, those things are, I hope that makes sense. Maybe someone can explain it better. I just made this up on the fly. While people are voting on that, I'd like to go to the Q&A, and then we're going to come back to this question with also the audience poll. Question number 1, why audit so expensive?
Oh my God, yeah. Listen to me at 12 o'clock, I'll give you.
Yeah, I guess to try to answer why they're so expensive, it's because you need people who are the best in the entire world at what they're doing. Because if you had, let's say, all of the black hats, some of us have heard of North Korea having some smart people who can hack smart contracts over there. If those guys are the very best in the world and the white hats, the other auditors can't come close, then crypto is we're in a bad spot. And so the reason auditors are so expensive is because you really need somebody who's in that, a 90% auditor doesn't do you much good. You need an auditor who's in the 99th percentile who can find that critical bug that only a couple people in the world can find. And those people have a lot of opportunities, and so they're expensive.
If you had to name that person, Chad or something, what would you call them?
Go ahead.
No, maybe a legend. I don't know.
I think the main reason, why audits are as expensive and why teams are spending way more resources on security in general, is because of the lever. Protocols have a lot at stake and a lot of users of tokens at stake. So that's really scary, and you want to make sure it's as safe as possible. So that's the market force behind pricing as well.
It's also about talent, I think, for those of you that are auditing companies over here, is how do you keep somebody hired in your auditing company if they can go and just become a black hat or a white hat independently, and make tons of more money. Yeah, there's ethics and everything else, but in the end, you got to pay them good, because else, sorry, I'm just going to go to Sherlock and be an independent guy. I'm going to make much more money.
Cool. The next question: If an audit finds an issues and then you fix those, should you ask (and pay) for a follow-up audit? do customers actually want this?
Yes, definitely.
Should be included.
Okay, you if you fix something and want to redeploy, you actually like. Okay, in Lido teams are following the process, which requires you to have an audit even for smallest changes. So that's the case. If it's included or not is another topic, and like is a big one. But like I tend to agree with you, but don't think that's mutual.
Cool.
No, yeah, for sure.
That was a yes, I think. On a scale of 1 to 10, how big is your pre-quantum encryption anxiety? Chris, I don't want to bring more anxiety to you. Sounds like you have enough. Quantum computers.
I think it's fine in general, as long as you keep building. The problem is the fact that if you leave legacy code, legacy encryption algorithms on the blockchain or anywhere else on the internet, those could potentially be broken in 100 years. So, those pictures that you encrypted, with zip like 20 years ago, maybe in 20 years in the future, they're going to be able to decrypt that. Just re-encrypt it again. Encryption goes, hand by hand.
Yeah, I don't lose much sleep over it, but I might be undereducated in this area. I think, if you have a 20-character address with quantum computing, the address just needs to be longer, essentially.
You don't know everything about quantum computing? Come on, man. Cool. Now we're going to discuss the poll. So I'd like you guys to turn around and actually have a look at this, because what I really like about this is it's very split, which is a nice surprise. So it seems like, yeah, there's a split. There's a huge split. And the fun thing is that we were discussing this before this panel, this exact question. And so I would like you guys to basically pick a side and discuss whether you think a smart contract equals a quality smart contract.
No, it kind of doesn't. I'm for like closer to one. Why? Because like there are multiple layers of if the thing is secure, even if the thing is secure, and if it's like code of good quality, and thinking of good quality is another issue. But basically, you want like layers. You want the auditor to check if the code adorns to spec, and you want to you want a good auditor to think whether spec makes sense even. So that's one thing of thinking through things. And if it's implemented in good code or bad code is the whole other thing. So that's closer to one, I guess.
Yeah, I would say you can have a quality smart contract that is not secure, and you can have a secure smart contract that is not high quality. You can have a quality smart contract that does a lot of things well. I guess there's a lot of features outside of security that a smart contract is expected to have, such as potentially readability or the ability to execute a transaction with low gas. If you have a very inefficient smart contract, then you would call that maybe a low quality smart contract. But that contract could be very secure, perfectly secure even. So I think there's definitely not a strong correlation between secure and quality.
I think quality definitely helps security. It just doesn't guarantee it. Security has nothing to do, better security doesn't mean anything quality. There's a lot of smart contracts that were built years ago that are horrible, use a lot of gas, revert, all those type of things, but they're unhackable. Like they, you cannot steal the funds. So I would definitely say, yeah, okay. I would definitely say, definitely aim for quality. It's going to help your security, but don't expect that just because you use good knapsack and good gas, functions and all those type of nice things, that means that your smart contract is secure. It's just going to help it, and auditors are going to be very happy if you have good quality code.
Cool. Thanks so much, and thanks everyone for participating in that. I really like how people were changing their answers. Buggers. But I hope that was informative and got you thinking a little bit. There was one question that I didn't get to, which was kind of what are the newest tools that people are adding to their security stack. So I'm actually going to ask you if you all can make a tweet after this with some of the tools that you would recommend and just use the hashtag ETHDam. I think that's going to be the most valuable for also everybody here. But thanks so much for coming this morning, and thank you all for coming. And please give a huge round of applause for this panelists.